Hi guys, and welcome to day one of Galleyathon. If you don't know, Galleyathon was created by Brooke from Brooke's Books, and then she asked me to come and join and help make this amazing dream she had even more epic by having a great friend to help her out. I know she sat there thinking, well, Jade was probably in bed, which is very true. Of course, I wanted to join this. It sounded like something I needed because I have a lot of NetGalley arcs, and as I've just said, if you don't know what Galleyathon is a readathon dedicated to reading all of those NetGalley arcs that you have had for a long time and never actually read. So I thought it'd be a great idea to start Galleyathon by giving you a NetGalley haul. So to start off with, the very first book that I requested, I forgot to mention these are going in order of me requesting them, is How Much of These Hills is Gold by C. Pam Zhang. Now, this book was actually published on the 9th of April, shows how long I've actually had it. Bar dies in the night. Ma is already gone. Lucy and Sam, 12 and 11, are suddenly alone and on the run. With their father's body on their backs, they roam an unforgiving landscape, dotted with giant buffalo bones and tiger paw prints, searching for a place to give him a proper burial. And it's supposed to have a lot of Chinese symbolism in there and things like that, and at the time, I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. And to be fair, at the time, I was also thinking, I've just joined NetGalley. I'm going to get rejected for so many of these. Request, request, request. Clearly, if you have owned NetGalley for more than 5 seconds, you know that that is not a smart thing to do because you don't get rejected all that often. The next book, which was published on the 28th of May, so not actually too behind, a little bit behind, but not too behind, and that is I Made a Mistake by Jane Corrie. Now, this book sounded so cool, it sounded great, it's a thriller, I love thrillers, everyone knows that, and the front cover just says, it started with a kiss and ended with murder. Like, how could I not be interested? So, the plot of the story is, in Poppy's mind, there are two types of women in this world. Those who are faithful to their husbands and those who are not. Until now, Poppy has never questioned which she was. But when a handsome, charming Matthew Gordon walks back into her life after almost 2 decades, that changes. Poppy makes a single mistake, and that mistake will be far more dangerous than she could imagine. Someone is going to pay for it with their life. Now that sounds awesome. I do want to get to that. It is not on my current TBR, but it could be one I get to should I finish. Next, I have Safe by S.K. Barnett. And again, it's a thriller book. I thought I'm just going to request every thriller I find. It sounds awesome. And this book is about a missing child that returns, and then it's like, but has she? And it says, your child is missing. She was only 6 years old when she disappeared. Posters went up, the police investigated, but no one could find her. Now, 12 years later, she's home, knocking at your door. You're so happy to see her, but soon you start to wonder why she can't answer your questions. Where has she been? How did she find her way home? And who is she? Which, awesome, sounds great. And it's, oh, bugger. Damn, I really thought I'd had one that hadn't been published yet. It was published on the 11th of June, so even closer now. I'm only a few days out with that one. Again, that is not on my Galleyathon TBR, but I may get to it eventually, very soon, because it sounds great. Next, I have Dark Waters by G.H. Halliday, and that is actually published tomorrow on the 16th of June. I'm not going to get to finish that today, am I? I'm never going to get started it today. And this, it sounds dark, it sounds good. The front cover says 3 mistakes, 2 victims, 1 more to go. And I thought, yes, I need this. Annabelle has come to the Scottish Highlands to escape, but as she speeds along a desert mountain road, she is suddenly forced to swerve. The next thing she remembers is waking up in a dark, damp room. A voice from the corner of the room says the doctor will be here soon. Scott is camping alone in the Scottish woods when he hears a scream. He starts to run for his life. Scott is never seen again. Meanwhile, D.I. Monica Kennedy has been called to her first serious crimes case in 6 months. A dismembered body has been discovered, abandoned in a dam. Days later, when another victim surfaces, Monica knows she is on the hunt for a ruthless killer. As she begins to close in on the murderer, her own dark past isn't far behind. So, yes, of course. Next is a book which everyone has been speaking about, which is why I requested it, and I don't even mind that it's old now. It's very old. But it's not actually published until the 6th of August, so I'm still doing well. And that is When I Was 10 by Fiona Cummings. And I've heard so many people talk about this book because they've had art copies, and I needed it. I need it. I'm so glad I have it. It's The Little Carter Sisters. The little Carter sisters live in a beautiful house on the hill. To the outside world, their childhood is perfect. Then one day, 10-year-old Sarah does something unforgivable. On the anniversary of the trial, the sisters are forced to confront what really happened for the first time, with devastating consequences for them both. What drives a child to the unthinkable? And, even if you manage to escape from your past, can you ever truly be forgiven? Now, that book, from what I remember, that doesn't sound half as good as I know what it is. It's about a set of sisters. One kills the parents with a pair of scissors, and I think she gets locked away. And then years later, the other sister, who's now obviously grown up, has to basically go back to that event. I don't really know how that comes about, but she does have to go back to that event, and it's meant to be quite difficult for her. Next is The Extraordinary Hope of Dawn Brightside. Don't really know why I requested this. I just thought, it sounds cute, sounds fun. It's a very bright cover, and that's by Jessica Rinn, and it is published on the 26th of November, so I can still make this deadline. I don't know if I will, but I can. And it says, she's always looking on the bright side. Dawn Elizabeth Brightside has been running from her past for 22 years and 2 months precisely. So, when she's offered a bed in St. Jude's Hostel for the Homeless, it means so much more than just a roof over her head. But with St. Jude's threatened with closure, Dawn worries that everything is about to crumble around her all over again. Perhaps with a little help from her new friends, she can find a way to save this light in the darkness. And maybe, just maybe, Dawn will finally have a place to call home. And that sounds really cute, really fun. I originally thought it was going to be a bit of a romancy thing, because it says she's not lost, she's just waiting to be found. And I was like, oh, really? A bit more of a romance than and it turns out it's not. It's more like she's waiting to be found and have a found family and things like that. And I love a good found family, so I'm excited to read it. Next is one I do regret requesting. And that is Mary Toft or The Rabbit Queen. Now this was... Oh. Something's wrong with this. It says the publication date is the 14th of August, which I know is wrong because I know it's out now. Maybe that's a paperback version. I'll see. But Surgeon John Howard is a rational man. His apprentice Zachary knows John is reluctant to believe anything that purports to exist outside the realm of logic. But even John cannot explain how or why Mary Toft, the wife of a local farmer, manages to give birth to a dead rabbit. When this singular event becomes a regular occurrence, John realises that nothing in his experience as a village physician has prepared him to deal with a situation as disturbing as this. He writes to several preeminent surgeons in London, 3 of whom quickly arrive in the small town of Godalming, ready to observe and opine. When Mary's plight reaches the attention of King George, Mary and her doctors are summoned to London, where Zachary experiences for the first time a world apart from his small town existence, and is exposed to some of the darkest corners of the human soul. All the while, Mary lies in bed, waiting for another birth, as doubts begin to blossom amongst the surgeons and a growing group of onlookers grow impatient for another miracle. I mean, that really sounds boring, and I've started reading it. It's weird. The thing is, this story is about a woman that gives birth to dead rabbits. I saw that when I was just glancing through, and I was like, what the actual book? I had to request it. I just wanted to know more. I since did a bit of research. Turns out Mary Toft was a real woman from England in the 1700s, and she did give birth to dead rabbits, but it came out as a hoax. I don't really know much more about that, but I did want to read it. When I was like, that's just so weird, I have to know. And then after I downloaded it, I was like, I kind of don't want to read that anymore, and I got stuck with it. So I'm using that as a book I regret requesting, and I'm determined to get that done and out of the way. I've started it already. I just want it gone now. Next is The Apartment by Kate L. Slater. It's an opportunity she can't refuse. The woman before her tried. And I just love that. Freya Miller needs a miracle. In the fallout of her husband's betrayal, she's about to lose her family home. And with it, the security she craves for her 5-year-old daughter, Skye. Adrift and alone, she is on the verge of despair until a chance meeting with the charismatic Dr. Marsden changes everything. He's seeking a new tenant for a shockingly affordable flat in the fashionable area of London. Ada House sounds too good to be true, but Freya really can't afford to be cynical, and Dr. Marsden is adamant that she and Skye will be a perfect fit with the other residents. But Ada House has secrets. Even behind a locked front door, Freya feels as if she's being watched. Objects moving, unfamiliar smells, the blinking light of a concealed camera. And it's not long before she begins to suspect that her dream home is hiding a nightmarish reality. Was it really chance that led her here? Or something unthinkably dark? As the truth about Ada House starts to unravel, can Freya and Skye get out? Or will they be locked in forever? That is the one I'm most excited for my Galleyathon TBR, so I'm really excited to read it. Next is one I don't regret requesting it, I just wish I hadn't. I think that's the same thing. And that's Hawk by James Patterson. But I don't regret requesting it because I don't want to read it. I really, really do. The issue is, Hawk comes out on the 23rd of July. It comes out next month. And Hawk is a sequel or spin-off series to another book series that I own. And I think there's about 11 or 12 books in that series. And I haven't read any of them. So I'm like, well, I'm never going to get to this before the deadline date. Hawk does not know her real name. She does not know who her parents were or where they went. The only thing she remembers is that they told her to wait on a street corner until they came back for her. That was 10 years ago. The day that she finally gives up waiting is the moment her life changes forever, because the promise becomes reality. Someone is coming for her. But it's not a rescue, it's an execution. Next is Stranger in the Lake by Kimberly Bell. This book came out on the 9th of June, so it actually came out last week. And I actually started reading the book last week because I wanted to try and get it done, but I was reading about 5 books at the same time. I switched off completely. And I'm really looking forward to reading and continuing this story because I'm already into it. When a young woman's body is found floating in the lake behind Charlotte's home, it feels like a cruel twist of fate. Her husband's first wife tragically drowned in the very same spot. But this woman is no stranger either. Charlotte saw her husband Paul talking to her the day before, so why does he tell the police he's never met her? As dark secrets about her husband begin to come to light, Charlotte has to ask herself the most dangerous question of all. Can she really trust her husband, or is he a stranger? Now, I've started this book. Charlotte's met her husband Paul and this young woman chatting. Didn't think anything of it. Charlotte's just found out she's pregnant and she's so excited. She's like, yay, I love this guy, he loves me, we're having a baby, whoop. And then this woman's body's found, and that's pretty much all I've got up to. But it sounds really interesting, and I can't wait to continue and find out what the truth of this situation is. Next is The Illustrator Child by Polly Crosby. Now, this book is not out until the end of October, so I have time for this as well. It just seemed like more of a light-hearted, fun thing, and I thought, I've requested a lot of thrillers, maybe I'll request a bit more of a light-hearted book. So it says, Romilly lives in a ramshackle house with her eccentric artist father and her cat Monty. She knows little about her past, but she knows that she is loved. When her father finds fame with a series of children's books starring her as the main character, everything changes. Exotic food appears on the table, her father appears on TV, and strangers appear at their door, convinced the books contain a treasure hunt leading to a glittering prize. But as time passes, Romilly's father becomes increasingly suspicious of everything around him, until before her eyes, he begins to disappear altogether. In her increasingly isolated world, Romilly turns to the secrets her father has hidden in his illustrated books, realizing that there is something far darker and much more devastating locked within the pages. That sounds really interesting, it sounds really good, it sounds like it'll have a really big emotional impact, and I'm really excited to actually get started with that. So next is The Storm by Amanda Jennings, and that book comes out next month on the 23rd of July, and it says that there isn't an archive date yet. So I don't know anything about this one, so I'm very interested to find out what it's about. To the outside world, Hannah married the perfect man. Behind closed doors of their imposing home, it's a very different story. Nathan controls everything Hannah does. He chooses her clothes, checks her receipts, and keeps her passport locked away. But why does she let him? Years before, in the midst of a relentless storm, the tragic events of one night changed everything, and Hannah has been living with the consequences ever since, keeping Nathan happy, doing as she's told. But the past is about to catch up with them. Set against the unforgiving backdrop of a Cornish fishing port in the 90s, this devastating exploration of the power of the coercive control in a marriage where nothing is quite as it seems. It sounds interesting, sounds fun. Doesn't sound amazing, to be perfectly honest. I have a feeling I'm going to get what the twist of that book is pretty much straight away. I have a feeling I know what that twist is, but never mind. I'm excited to read it. I'm excited to read that book just so I can guess what the twist is and see if I'm right. Next is The Vow by Debbie Howells, and that is meant to come out in October as well. And it says, 2 weeks before her wedding, a stranger stops Amy in the street and warns her she is in danger. Then, that night, Matt, her fiancé, doesn't come home. Desperate, Amy calls the police, but when Matt fails to emerge, she's forced to call off her wedding day. Then, another man is reported missing, by a woman called Fiona, a man meeting Matt's description, who was about to leave his fiancée for her. He was supposed to be moving in with her, but instead, he's vanished. Amy refuses to believe Fiona's lover can be her Matt, but photos prove otherwise, and it soon becomes clear that Matt has been leading a double life. As the police dig deeper, two conflicting yet equally plausible stories emerge from the two women who allegedly have never met. The wedding day never happened, but the funeral might. Next is another one, and that is my most recent NetGalley arc, which now has changed, but at the time I filmed my TBR, it was this book, so I'm just keeping it as this book just to make life easier. And that is Invisible Girl by Lisa Jewell. And this is meant to come out on the 6th of August. When Sapphire Maddox was 10, something terrible happened, and she's carried the pain of it around ever since. The man who she thought was going to heal her didn't, and now she hides from him, invisible in the shadows, learning his secrets. Secrets she could use to blow his safe, cozy world apart. Owen Pick is invisible too. He's 33 years old and he's never had a girlfriend. He's never even had a friend. Nobody sees him, nobody cares about him. But when Sapphire Maddox disappears from opposite his house on Valentine's night, suddenly the whole world is looking at him, accusing him, holding him responsible. Because he's just the type, isn't he? A bit creepy. And that sounds interesting. It sounds fun. It sounds as though it's going to have a lot of good messages about choosing the person who just seems like the type as opposed to someone who could have actually done it. And I'm interested to see how it goes. I really am. So that was my most recent one at the time of filming my Galleyathon TBR. So I'm excited to read that. That should be getting read this week. Next is The Silent Wife by Karen Slaughter. A woman runs alone in the woods. She convinces herself she has no reason to be afraid, but she's wrong. A predator is stalking the women of Grant County. He lingers in the shadows until the time is just right to snatch his victim. He waits. A decade later, the case has been closed. The killer is behind bars. But then another young woman is brutally attacked and left for dead, and the MO is identical. He takes. Although the original trail has gone cold, memories have faded. Witnesses have disappeared. Agent Will Trent and forensic pathologist Sarah Linton must reopen the cold case, but the clock is ticking and the killer is determined to find his perfect silent wife. Okay, that sounds really interesting. I kind of knew a bit about this one because I filmed Wednesday's video before this one. You will find out why on Wednesday. And that book kind of came into play. And that is due to be published on the 23rd of June, so it's actually next week. I ain't getting to that, let's be real. If I can, I will, but I don't know if I will. Next, I got Playing Nice by J.P. Delaney, and that is due to come out on the 6th of August. It's a mystery thriller book. Pete Riley answers the door one morning to a parent's worst nightmare. On his doorstep is Miles Lambert, who breaks the devastating news that Pete's 2-year-old Theo isn't Pete's real son. Their babies got mixed up at birth. Ooh, I didn't know any of this. The two families, Pete, his partner Maddie, and Miles and his wife Lucy, agree that rather than swap the boys back, they'll try and find a more flexible way to share their children's lives. But a plan to sue the hospital triggers an investigation that unearths disturbing questions about just what happened the day their babies were switched. And when Theo is thrown out of a nursery for hitting other children, Maddie and Pete have to ask themselves, how far do they want this arrangement to go? What secrets lie hidden beneath the Lamberts' smart front door? How much can they trust the real parents of their child and each other? And that sounds really interesting. I requested this very recently, I think probably last week, and I just thought it looked cool. I really like the front cover, and I didn't know what it was about, so I requested it, and now apparently that's what it's about, and I'm excited to read that. Finally, I requested a book called Cinderella is Dead, and that is by Kaylin Bayron. And really, I requested this because everyone is raving about it, and I thought, oh, I don't know if it's still going to be out, but I'm going to have a look for it because everyone's talking about it and it sounds good, and it sounds like it's a bit of a, I don't know if it's a retelling or it's just using the symbolism of Cinderella, but I'm kind of excited to see where it goes. I don't really know much about it, despite the fact that everyone's talking about it. No one's really said what it's about, so I thought I'd take a look, and I really like the idea of it. It's 200 years since Cinderella found her prince, but the fairy tale is over. Sophia knows the story though, off by heart, because every little girl has to recite it daily, from when she's tiny until the night she's sent to the royal ball for choosing. And every girl knows that she only has one chance, for the lives of those not chosen by a man at a ball are forfeit. But Sophia doesn't want to be chosen. She doesn't want to go to the ball at all, not when she's afraid the girl she loves might be chosen too. Pushed beyond breaking point by a society that denies everything she is, Sophia sets out on a journey that will remake her world into one where she gets to choose. Oh, I'm all for that. I'm all for the female empowerment book. I'm loving it. It looks like it'll have LGBT rep. It sounds a bit futuristic. I'm really enjoying the sound of that. I want to read this book. So I'll get to this one very, very soon. And that is my NetGalley book haul. That is every book I have ever requested on NetGalley, without the ones I have reviewed already. But they sound really good. So if you have actually requested or read any of these, please let me know what you think of these, because I am really, really, really looking forward to actually starting a few of them. I've already started the Rabbit Queen one. Not too keen on that one, but we'll just see how it goes. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you are being involved in Galleyathon. If you are, please make sure to follow us on Twitter. We'll be doing reading sprints throughout the day. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.